Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I've been talking a lot lately about how right now what I've been doing is I'm buying XRP, XLM gold, and I'm making sure I have a good cash cushion. There's two other things that I'm doing, and it's not for everybody, but I'm doing. One is I'm investing in Masterworks artwork, and that for me is a kind of like a hedge. It's a way to get myself exposure to another asset that I've not been able to be exposed to, because Masterworks is token. They're going and buying artwork, and then they're turning around and turning them into shares, and you can do a $500 minimum investment. And so I'll put a link in the top of this description to that. Wanted to show you they've just added this feature on their website, where they have every time that when they add a new painting, they do a little promo video that's really cool. Watch this. I'm just going to show you the beginning of it.
Hello everyone, I'm Ellis Reese, and I work as a specialist on the Masterworks Art Acquisitions team. I am pleased to share our most recent offering, Gleaners, by provocative British street artist Banksy. Banksy has been featured in Time Magazine's Top 100 Influential People, as well as nominated for an Academy Award of Best Documentary Feature for his film Exit Through the Gift Shop. In 2021, Banksy ranked 8th among all artists with...
But I think that's so cool that they're giving you a promo video, because as I'm investing, I'm learning about the art. I've never been exposed to anything like this, but I know just because I've always read and heard is that artwork does not necessarily just, so when you have like you're having these market crashes in the S&P 500, artwork does not move with that stuff. And that's what I'm trying to think back to when I used to be a financial advisor. It's asset allocation, and it goes counter to other investments, and that's the way to diversify for me. Now the market has been crushed. Now if you're listening to me and you've been around, you know that I've been in this game since 2013. I have seen so many of these now, and I know you can't imagine it, but when I see this, because I prepared myself I'm always prepared for these things now. When I was younger, I was not. But having a cash cushion, not just to protect yourself, but to hopefully buy the dips is the way I do it, okay? So this market was up over 2 trillion just a few days ago. Now we're at 1.2 trillion. Remember, I was here when this thing went down to 100 billion, okay? But the things, now let me say something else. There's no question in my mind, this is one of two things, and I lean towards the more dark thing. This is either government created, this collapse was either intentionally initiated by the government as a plan, or they had the plan on the shelf and they were just waiting for this collapse to happen and knew it would happen as a result of raising interest rates and other things. Either way, this you can see it right in front of you that the government is now, they've taken that plan off the shelf, and now all of the Gary Genslers, and you'll see the Elizabeth Warrens, they're all coming out, and they're going to say, see, you need the government. See, we told you so. And they're going to say, see, we need Wall Street. These guys have been doing this. Remember the Gary Gensler, Tim Draper video? What is it that they can do that JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs can't do better? Remember that video? Yeah, now you're going to get to see that in real life, because that was the plan all along. And what do they need to do within that? No. So here's what's happening. First, UST collapsed. Don't be surprised if you don't see someone behind the scenes go after USDT Tether, okay? Because this is what's propped up Bitcoin for years. All right, now, so this was from Tether this morning. In a few minutes, Tether will coordinate with a third party to perform a chain swap. And all of this is Greek to me. And this person, Sir Bitlord says, I don't understand this. Just tell me simply, are we being rugged? The Tether total supply will not change. In other words, all eyes on Tether. Now, last night I backed up the freaking truck on XRP, but I did it because I did not spend more than I could afford to lose on anything, and I kept a good cash cushion. Folks, young people out there, even old people, if you don't learn any lesson from what's going on right now, you've got to learn that. Always, never, ever spend more money than you can afford to lose, but always keep a cash cushion. And it's not just for safety. It's for buying when the blood is in the streets. And that's what's going on. And but here's the other thing. We've heard it. This will be the second time I've heard this, and you need to listen closely. Yesterday I played you a video where Jack McDonald from PolySign said that he's already got the institutional investors lining up and telling him they're about ready to enter this. And he's the one that said that unquestionably late 2022 is going to be great in the crypto markets. Now you got Michael Sonnenson, who's from Grayscale. These people know, folks. Listen to what he says on CNBC today.
You've talked a lot about how institutions are trying to get into crypto, Bitcoin specifically, and there have been a lot that have been waiting, trying to think about how to build that.
And while you're watching this, don't forget, all CNBC is, they're setup men. They throw the ball up so that all of these guys that want to make money off the backs of all you retail people can dunk it. Their friends are the institutional guys, not you and me. So they do setups for the government and Wall Street institutional players. That is what CNBC does. If it wasn't what they do, then you wouldn't see them coming out after the market. Their whole play is after the market has already gone up, then they come out and tell you how to buy an XRP or whatever. They don't come out and tell you how to buy it. If they were doing you a favor, they'd be coming out today and telling you how to buy XRP, but they don't do that. They come out and they tell you how to buy XRP after it's hit its all-time high. And that's how you know. That's the tell. These guys are setup men. That's why they won't tell you the truth about Jay Clayton. Instead, they hire him as a contributor.
Portfolio. Are you getting calls from people saying, I'm buying right now? I mean, I would hope if this is as real as we talked about, that there should be buyers left and right, and there don't appear to be.
I think that some investors are likely waiting for things to settle down. The UST or Terra, have then certainly sent some shockwaves through the system. And obviously we're looking at, Tether and other stable coins as well at the moment. I do think when things settle down and crypto does find its footing, you will see some of those more institutional buyers starting to step in. And some have already indicated that they are, in fact, starting to take bites at these levels.
Oh, you better write it down. They're behind the scenes over the counter so that it doesn't show in the markets. These guys are scooping up like the digital asset investor is doing. Now, check this out. If these people, if they are not throwing the ball up for the regulators and Wall Street to dunk it and do this all over again, then listen to this. That's exactly what they're doing, folks.
But Jay, what does that mean? Because Coinbase itself is the one that came out and said that customers might be lining up as creditors in this. They now say, don't worry, your money's safe. We have no risk of a bankruptcy. But you know how this happens. When a bank run starts, that's what creates bigger problems down the road.
Look at this, folks. They're trying to scare people away from Coinbase. Why would they do that? They're trying to. And look, I'm not saying that you shouldn't listen to this for that reason and put something on a Ledger Nano OS, which, by the way, is going to be in the top of the description. I am saying that you should do that because we don't know what these government actors and the manipulators, and when I say manipulators, I'm not talking about some retail guy. I'm talking about these institutional players. I'm talking about the George Soroses that are friends of Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler and who they're on the phone with. Those people, you don't know what they're capable of.
On the road, and I know Gary Gensler has warned about this in the past. I still don't know that a lot of investors even realized that, and that's why you see the sort of bank run like this. Isn't this a call for this immediately being regulated?
Look, Becky, Gary, Chair Gensler and I very much agree on this, that you need to have the rigor of our time-tested system for securities trading when you have something that's like a security. And, I think that this, to the extent that this is a wake-up call for people to understand that we need that kind of rigor in this space, that's good. I don't know the particulars of the Coinbase situation, so I'm not going to comment on that. But we do need that kind of rigor, particularly in retail financial products.
All right. So now, all of this reminds me of this. Remember this article? This is Chris Giancarlo, who was at the CFTC. Okay, this is an article. Trump administration popped 2017 Bitcoin bubble. All right, just listen to this part right here. This is a quote from Chris Giancarlo. The CFTC staff handled it strictly on procedural grounds, but at a leadership level, I communicated with Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin and NEC Director Gary Cohn, and we believed that should Bitcoin futures go forward, it would allow institutional money to bring discipline to the value of the cash market, he told CoinDesk, and that's exactly what happened. Bring discipline to the cash market, folks. What's that code for? That's code for crash this market because the government said so. Now, I literally woke up in bed and I said, wait a minute. I remember that Gary Gensler video from April 29th, just a little over a week ago, I think. Remember when Gary Gensler put this video out? And remember, we all know what we do know on this channel for a fact is Gary Gensler only does interviews with people that are going to tee up the issues that he wants to address, like MSNBC, these kind of people. So this is one of his tee-up interviews. But listen to what he says, because I remember when he said it, when he brought up this Warren Buffett saying, when he brought this up, I was like, oh, so he's talking about market crashes now, almost like he thinks there's going to be one.
Warren Buffett has this famous line. He said years ago in one of his annual reports, when the tide goes out, you see who's been swimming with their trunks off. And so, yes, Stephanie, that we're in a transitional period right now. The war in Ukraine, COVID is still here and changing some of the economics, but we're also in somewhat of a transitioning time where central banks around the globe are transitioning as well. But our job at the SEC is to be that cop on the beat, to look out for investors and to ensure that the markets are free of fraud and manipulation.
In theory,
He only refers to fraud and manipulation when it's someone else doing it, not the government or their buddies, their Wall Street buddies. Getting a phone call, but it's okay.
When the tide goes out and we can see who's been swimming without their shorts on, how worried are you that, again, we're going to see a whole bunch of individual investors who wanted to get in the game really get screwed here and realize they didn't know what they were getting involved with?
I'm particularly concerned in something called the crypto token. Crypto is $2 trillion crypto asset space.
And a whole lot of people who have gotten mind-blowingly rich.
Well, have they?
Have they? What? I remember seeing that and saying, wait, what is he talking about there?
For a moment. And is it really...
For a moment.
Your listeners, or is it a few people at hedge funds and family offices?
I don't know. Go down to Miami and you're going to see a lot more Lamborghinis driving around today than you did 3 years ago. One word, crypto.
So I do think that the Securities and Exchange Commission is an important agency looking out for regular investors, and they don't all have those Lamborghinis.
Right. Some people would have them if you had not sued XRP, Gary. Now, listen to this, folks. This right here is, and then I'll have to close this video out. This one right here is Brian Brooks, who was the head of the OCC. Listen to what he says about what's going on behind the scenes in Congress.
The way the Congress works, as I learned when I was in government, is it's not actually 100 senators and 435 congressmen voting on things. It's really 6 or 8 members of leadership deciding what gets to come for a vote. And regrettably, there are a couple of people, mostly in the Senate, not the House, but there are a couple of very senior Democrats in the Senate who have decided that crypto's a problem. It's a problem. And I have a theory of why that is. And I don't think it's an ideological theory, but it's just my observation of what the animating principles of the two sides are. Here's the way I describe it. So for the last 100 years, but really 500 years, all of finance in the West has been dominated by banks. Banks intermediated between governments, which authorize the money, and consumers who use the money. And there was this unstable, unholy sort of balance where this thing called a bank sat in the middle of it. And that was always unstable. Persisted for a while, but it was like the aggregator of money, like the post office. All letters went to a central repository before they got farmed out. There is now that we don't need that technologically, because you don't need to aggregate all the letters. You can send emails. You also don't need to aggregate all the dollars. You can have DeFi. So there is now a significant fight over whether we're going to leave the banking model in favor of a government model or leave the banking model in favor of a user-controlled model. There are some people who are mostly one generation older than you and me, Democrats. And it's not very many of them. I think most Democrats are on our side, okay? But there are a couple of people of an older generation whose belief is governments are more trustworthy than people. It's a risky world. People are fraudsters, or people are not sophisticated to make their own decisions. And they're trying very, very hard to push for central bank digital currencies and Fed accounts. Postal banking. Whereas everybody here in Miami is trying to move toward a user-controlled financial system where we make our own determinations.
It's a war, folks. It is a war between these government hacks and people who want to be in control of their own financial future instead of being at the behest of all these CNBC clowns. That's what we're talking about, folks. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that the digital asset investor is buying dips and trying to and does not want to have a future that's dictated by a bunch of CNBC you-know-what clowns.